Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report brought to you by Picasso's Pizza on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, and X channels. I don't live in Buffalo, but when I go to Buffalo, I go to Picasso's. Enjoy the show, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is your man Izzy, right here on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, Facebook, and X channels. Here to say hello, go Bills, and that's it. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. We are here to talk about how Josh Allen is affected by a strong running game and what that actually means to me. What up, Lance? Right here in the comments. Happy Sunday to my man Kim, Madam Sandra. Good evening. Let's go. Here we go. What's good, my people? What's good, Joey? Welcome back. Go Bills. All right. Yeah. So today I got a laugh emoji already. Let's go, baby. I got some energy today. I don't know what it is. I was busy all day, and then all of a sudden, came showtime, and I got energy. I don't know what it is. So we're gonna have some fun today. We're gonna talk about how the running game affects Josh Allen, and a strong running game at that. So we're gonna go over all the years that we've won the division from 2020 to 2023 and see how the run game stacked up in those years and how Josh Allen's play went in those years. Now, it's not necessarily fair to judge Josh Allen based on all those years and then, you know, look at this year because of the offensive coordinator changes that we've had. We had Dable and then Dorsey, and then we had now Joe Brady, who's most likely going to change the scheme to an extent. He probably won't change everything about it because some of it worked. And when you're a good coach, stuff that works you incorporate into your own scheme. You do your own thing with it, just like Joe Brady did last year with Ken Dorsey's playbook. He didn't scrap it. He couldn't. He had to use it and then adjust to the strengths and balances of his team to make the offense work. And due to that, we won the division last year. We came back from 6-6 to end the season 11-6. Win the division, win a playoff game, and lose a nail biter to the Chiefs as usual. But we'll go over that. Well, no, we won't. We went over that last week. We're gonna go over how the defense wow, I'm all over the place right now. How the running game affects the passing game with Josh Allen specifically. Now, my man said Mountain Dew for energy. No, I'm on that Pepsi Cola. I drank me a Pepsi, got another Pepsi just to keep it up. But yeah, I've been busy this weekend and it's been wild. It's your love of Buffalo Bills and stuff about starting kick. Look, I cannot wait. We got 2 months, 2 months to the preseason, 3 months to kickoff. Let's go, baby. I cannot wait till the regular season. 90 days or so. Everybody eats. I love that. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody eats. Very important. And the Buffalo Bills are inventing a new offense for the 2024 season. Wonder what that is going to be like. And I think that's the effect. I think it's going to be a new offense, and they'll bring back some of the things from the past regime because Joe Brady was part of that regime. And so because of that, he's going to incorporate some of those things into his scheme, but he's going to do it his way. And his way apparently works. So we're going to go ahead and rock with that. He said, I think Brady's system will feature the run game more than Dable's or Dorsey's. I agree with that. And you'll see when I go over these numbers. Again, I have all those years pulled up, and it breaks down, who ran what and how many times we ran the ball, how many times we passed it. And surprisingly enough, in 2020, the Buffalo Bills had 596 passing attempts and 411 rushing attempts. So almost 200 more passing attempts than rushing. The Bills had 1,700 rushing yards, 1,723 to be exact, 16 rushing touchdowns. Our boy Josh, well, he completed. Let me go down to his stats specifically because other people threw passes. Our boy Josh completed 396 of 572 for a 69% completion percentage. That's the year he got Diggs. Threw for 4,544 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. His best year, in my opinion, was that year. Dable, not so run heavy, right? But he did run the ball, and we ran it fairly effectively. We had Devin Singletary have 687 yards, Zach Moss 481. So we had over 1,200 yards on the ground from our running backs, but only 6 touchdowns. Only 6 touchdowns for those two. Josh Allen had 8 by himself. So Josh Allen put up more rushing touchdowns than our running backs did, which is not new. He does that every year. Hopefully, we can get away from that. I'm okay with our quarterback having more rushing touchdowns than a running back or every individual running back, but I'm not necessarily fond of him having more rushing touchdowns than our running backs did total. And that year, I'm off a little bit because Antonio Williams had 2 rushing touchdowns of his own on 12 attempts, 63 yards, average of 5.3 in that one game he played, and he had 2 touchdowns. So 8 touchdowns for all of our running backs, 8 for Josh. I think that the offensive line, and I see a comment here, Joey Hatch, the trenches is where it starts. A good running game will set up the play action. I agreed, and Josh is very good with play action, and most play action that's been effective for Josh has been behind center, which I think that Joe Brady is going to look at and decide that that's the way to go. More plays from behind center. Excuse me. Pepsi makes me burp. But Josh Allen, in that year, he went off. Of course, the main catalyst for that, Stephon Diggs, comes into town. That he then has the 2 guys from the year prior, John Brown and Cole Beasley, who murdered, right? And then he had the guys who were new, Stephon Diggs. Gabriel Davis was fairly young in that year. I think that was his rookie year. And they went off, man. They went off. Cole Beasley had 967 yards, 4 touchdowns. Diggs, that was his 1,500-yard season with 8 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis had 7 touchdowns on 599 yards. The dropsies plagued him, but it is what it is. And John Brown was nicked up that year, but still contributed 458 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the Bills that year went off because of the scheme that they had really favored the pass, right? It really favored the pass, and the run game did not really affect Josh that much that year, but we still had to do it. And that goes to show by the 1,700 rushing yards that we had. However, Josh had the 3rd most rushing yards in the team, which isn't too crazy that nowadays. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, they tend to, be up there in either 1st or 2nd or 3rd on their team in rushing as quarterbacks. Josh had 421 yards, right behind Zach Moss's 481 and Devin Singletary's 687. That, to me, is ideal for Josh Allen. You have 2 running backs, or if you get a bell cow, fine. But I'm fine with 2 running backs in 1,200 yards and Josh contributing some. And then you beef it up with that mean passing game. That was Dable's scheme, and it worked. It worked very well. Let's see. Dolphins fans talking a lot of stuff, wrestler stuff. Hey, man, it is what it is, man. Dolphins fans can talk all they want. They still can't beat us till they do, which they won't. So I'm not really worried. And after they just paid Jalen Waddle, how are they paying Tua? Or maybe they don't want to pay Tua. So it is what it is. Lance comes in. Josh Allen is the best short yardage goal line runner we have. Past tense. Had. Because I think that Ray Davis is going to be that guy, my man, Lance. Ray Davis, that dude is a bowling ball, and he's going for all the pins. 7-10 split. I really like Ray Davis. I hate that his name is Davis because then my instinct is to say Gabe. It's not Gabe, it's Ray. James Smith comes up. Got to be able to be more effective inside the 10-yard line without having to rely so heavily on Allen's legs. Exactly. Right? those short yardage plays are where a lot of guys get hurt. Not just offensive, but defensive. Matt Milano got hurt in that situation last year where he broke his leg. Defensive tackles like Daquan Jones, he hurt himself like that too in a short distance area where you're trying to compress. You got your quarterback in that pile. He's not the biggest man in that pile. He's probably the smallest guy in that pile. When you have 300-pound linemen clashing and colliding with each other. So I'd rather have our running back Ray Davis, who is 5'8", 210 pounds. Like he's a bowling ball of a man, and he's got moves, and he's not afraid to lay the lumber. And at 5'8", 210 pounds, he's much more stout. He's a little teapot. And I really like the fact that he is a guy that they looked for. You have between the 20s one of the most dynamic runners in the NFL in James Cook, and then outside the 20s in the red zone, you have a hammer like Ray Davis who can get you those tough yards, those short yards, and he doesn't fumble much. From what I remember, he had one fumble in college. Last year, I think it was one fumble. So, yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. Joey Hatch coming through with the heat. Ray Davis had to fight his whole life from homeless to trying to make the Buffalo Bills. It's a great story. He will put the work in. Trust that. I do trust that. You look, when you're hungry, you'll do anything to get that next meal. He knows what that means. He knows what it means to be humble. He knows what it means to be hungry. He knows what it means to fight and scrap for everything he's got. He's going to fight and scrap for everything he's got. I don't say this lightly. The possibility is there no matter who the player is, right? Ray Davis could unask James Cook for that starting job by the end of the season. I think James Cook's going to start the season as the starter. And I think that James Cook will finish the season as the starter. But there's a chance that if Ray Davis is as dynamic in Buffalo as he was in college, he could be a potential bell cow back with that size. Now, the length of time that he would be able to do that for, probably in the Zeke Elliott, rookie contract range, 4 to 6 years. But man, I really do like the kid. See, I feel we are going to be much better this year with the less distractions. I think so too. It's a good point. So I believe mandatory minicamp is June 11th through 13th. I got you, man. I know you didn't mean Jones. I know you didn't mean that. No drama. Let's go, baby. No drama. Hey, what's up, Dave? I appreciate it, man. You're always so enthusiastic with me. See, Ray Davis put himself in the system so his siblings could stay together because he said he was stronger. He put his siblings in the system, and he went to be homeless. You got that backwards right there, my man. He separated himself from his siblings so that they could be adopted or put into foster care, and then he stayed on the street. That's tough. Gotta love a story like that. See, if Ray turns into a receiving threat out of the backfield, then I definitely see that happening. He already is a receiving threat out the backfield. Ray Davis can catch the ball at the backfield. He had a number of receptions in college, and he tends to look the ball in more. And I think that maybe having size is a reason why that is. But he's less afraid of hits because he's denser. He can take the hits. But the Bills aren't really used to re-signing running backs. Now, James Cook could be the exception because as a running back, he does not have high mileage. It's a very low mileage running back. He is that car. He's that 2023 model car that you got, right? You got him last year, and he had no miles coming from the factory. You got him off the lot. You basically Sunday drove him for the first year, and then year 2, you let him have it. Right? So you got 15,000 miles on them tires, and 100,000 miles is time to trade him in. He's probably got, at his size, I'd say 5 years left. If he takes hits, if he is as elusive as he can be, could be longer, but we all know the first thing to go is speed. So we'll see what happens. See, I like Allen running in the red zone as an outside bootleg running to the pylons, going up the middle was, yeah, I agree. If you have Josh on a bootleg and then he can outrun people, then so be it. I'm fine with that, but that's usually on a pass play. It's not a design run. My complaint is Josh Allen design runs inside the red zone, right? I don't think it's necessary, right? And this is my report. It's the red zone report, baby. In the red zone, I'd like to have a running back who can get it done. And last year, I believe that would have been Damian Harris, but he got hurt, and now he's retired because of that injury. And Godspeed and God bless him. I hope that he doesn't have any thing that's going to hinder him for the rest of his life, because when you retire, you're taking something serious. Something happened and your body's talking to you. You got one neck, you got one spine. When they start talking to you, you got to listen, because once they're gone, you don't have a backup. It's not like a kidney where you got one kidney go bad, you can live without one kidney. It's more like a liver. That liver goes, you got to get a new liver quick. It's not something that you can play with. So, Godspeed to him. But I think that Ray Davis is that guy who can be that outside threat. I think maybe seeing some options, some option plays, Josh Allen running, Ray Davis on the outside, toss the ball to him or keep it and cut in. I like that. See, I'm glad all our RBs can catch passes. I agree. I see you use the R instead of our, and that's a common Bills thing just because of our accent, but I don't like it. But yeah, I'm glad they all can too. We need James Cook to get better at it, right? Because he dropped 3 touchdown passes last year, James. Get better. Improve yourself. Use them hands, baby. Look it in, catch it, and then go. Davis will block also. He's a very good blocker. Joey Hatch says, I'm right. Hey, I hope so. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to say, I thought Ray Davis was going to be that guy. He's not that guy. But if he's that guy, I will also be the first one saying, I called it. Ray Davis already visited Buffalo foster homes. I love that. It means that he's not some narcissist who got through it and is just going to ignore the other people who are going through what he went through. I love that. Like when you go through a struggle and it becomes your passion and you need to go ahead and help out with that. That's a beautiful thing. Ray Davis's 40 time was, I believe, 4.53, but I can pull that up. Ray Davis. I'll just pull up his RAS sheet. It'll be there. Boom. His 40 time was 4.52. 4.52. So he's got adequate speed. What up? What up, man? My man Jacob Spears from Spears Bills Talk. Check out his channel. He does a lot of short videos. He does some lives every now and then, but his shorts are pretty good. That's why I'm surprised Mitch Morse didn't retire like 20 head concussions. Luckily, he didn't have any really in the last 2 years, but the years before that, it was a concern. Yeah. Is Ray Davis a starter? Not this year, not starting the season, but by the end of the year, he might be. Joe Brady said it looks like Cook did a whole lot of work this offseason, comebacks stacked. So I'm guessing that you mean like he went into the gym and packed on some muscle, which could be a good thing, but it could also slow him down. So I'm hoping the former. I'm hoping that he keeps that speed. See, every so often, Joe Brady may use Curtis Samuel in the red zone to run. That too. And he's a 4.33 guy, so good luck. Keep catching that guy. That boy's fast. That boy's fast. And Josh, seemingly in OTAs, has been developing quite the connection with him. So I really like that too. Like the Josh is growing a connection with all of his receivers. And the guys that are sticking out of the newbies, are Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, and Mac Hollins are the wide receivers that I've seen him like really grow that connection with. We know from the first week of OTAs that it was Chase Claypool, but I like the committee, baby. I like the committee. But he's also like, apparently Kincaid's been getting work done. So let's freaking go. Let's go. Now, that first year I went over, 2020, the run game was about 2/5 of the offense, 60% passing, 40% running about. 2021 came around, and the numbers are astonishingly similar. In 2020, they were, 411 rushing attempts to 596 passing attempts. In 2021, it was 655 passing attempts. So that was not similar, but 461. So we ran a lot more offensive plays. Tells me that we were hitting the intermediates. We were getting more first downs. We were sustaining drives. We were able to really focus on getting this team into a lane. Unfortunately, that year we ended up, was it 11-6, and lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs. That was that 13-second year. And that's the year that people said was our most likely chance to get into the Super Bowl, right? They say that if we would have beat the Chiefs, we probably beat the Bengals that year. I don't know if that's true or not, but let's say we do beat the Chiefs and then we beat the Bengals, get to the Super Bowl. We're gonna beat the Rams because we don't lose to Jalen Ramsey. That's just how it goes, right? If we're lining up all our ducks the way we want to line them up, that's how you see it, right? Josh never loses to Jalen Ramsey, that freaking bum. I know he's not a bum, but I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't like his personality. I like how he plays. If he played and had a better personality, maybe, but F that guy. But Buffalo's rushing attempts went up by 50? Yeah, 50 attempts, but their passing attempts 655 from 596. That's about 60. Similar balance in the rushing to passing department. Very similar. But the yards came down for Josh. They came down to 42.84. And the year before passing was 46.20. That's team total, including, all the weird plays, the Cole Beasley passes and all that stuff. 36 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. The interceptions went up and the passing touchdowns came down. That's also Dable's offense, but it was the year that the Bills looked the most prepared. 2021. 2020, they looked the most dominant. Like Diggs just going off, Beasley going off, Dawson Knox, newcomer in the offense, freaking Gabe Davis eating, defenses alive as the third and fourth receiver on the field. It was a very good year for this offense, but 2021 seemed more steady. Also, in 2021, rushing yards went up to 2209, so 50 more attempts and 500 more yards. The Bills averaged 4.2 yards per carry in 2020. In 2021, they went up to 4.8. So, a year where our rushing game got stronger, the passing game dipped a little yardage-wise, but seemed more efficient and effective. That's something to pay attention to. That's under one offensive coordinator. That's under Brian Dable. After this season, 2021, Brian Dable moves on to the New York Giants to become their head coach. It's not worked well for him there. 2022, the Bills' rushing attempts dropped a little bit to 430 from 461. So not a big drop, 20 rushing plays, not a big deal. And they averaged 5.2 yards per attempt. So another increase in rushing yards per attempt. Total yards basically stayed the same, 22-32. And then the passing game, our passing yards went down some. Interceptions went down. Touchdowns went down. Attempts also went down, though. Completions went down. So it was 361. Let me go ahead and pull up Josh's numbers alone. Josh was 359 of 567, 63%, 4,283 yards, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Interception ratio of 2.5, so 2.5 touchdowns to 1 interception. It's not bad. It's really not bad. When you see an Aaron Rodgers year when he has 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, that's an excellent year. Like 10-1 is nuts. That's crazy. That's crazy. 2.5-1, 3-1. That's pretty good. Especially when you have a gunslinger like Josh or Brett Favre, that you're going to see those numbers just like that. It is what it is. Let's see what else happened here. Strong rushing game. Bills go 13-3, and that is the year that we got crushed by the Bengals in the playoffs. That's the DeMar Hamlin year. That year to me felt like the year if we didn't have all those craziness with the shooting and the death of Luke Knox and the injury to Micah Hyde's neck and Von Miller tearing his ACL and then freaking the blizzards that killed 40 people and just all the tragedy that befell the city of Buffalo and the team was insurmountable in my opinion, and they were just done. The team players were just done. And Matt Milano commented about this, and he doesn't talk. Like Matt Milano does not speak. He's not a wide open guy with the media. He'll talk to him, but he's usually not that open. And when they asked Matt Milano about the game, he just said, "Look, like the guys were flat. I was trying to get them going, and they couldn't go. It just wasn't our day." And that's tough. It's tough when you're just fizzled out. It is what it is, man. You're fizzled out. And unfortunately, that year ended that way. But the team, statistically, was outstanding. Outstanding that year. So who gets their goal line rushes? Cook was always pulled out. Yeah, I think that it'll be Ray Davis. So James Cook was fourth when he ran last season. Yeah, he was, I believe, the fourth overall rushing leader in the NFL. So our offensive line coach, when he was here the first time, it was a top 3, and he is back. And I mentioned this last show. He's also a former offensive coordinator in the NFL. That is a tremendous help. I love that dynamic there. See, a lot of people don't know that Kim Pagula went through the same thing that Hamlin went through that year too. Yeah, the Kim Pagula thing in the background that no one ever talked about, but people knew that something was wrong. Like that, there's a lot of that stuff, man. It's a lot of that stuff, and there was just so much tragedy that happened that year. Like, it would have been a beautiful Cinderella story if the Bills win the Super Bowl that year. It just wasn't written in the cards, man. It just was not written in the cards, and they're human beings. They're human beings. And a lot of people will try and put that on McDermott, like he should have had them ready. He should have did this and that. It's easy to say that when you're not that guy. And he had them ready all the way until that point. And there was just nothing to be done at that point. And unfortunately, these are the circumstances that you live with. But I have faith. Go Bills, right? See, the $10.1 million Trey money freed up yesterday. Have you heard what Brandon Beane may do with it? Any rumors? I haven't seen any rumors, but I also haven't been looking right now. Like I've had guests in town. My mother was in town. My son just graduated on Thursday. So it's been an awesome week for me. My son just graduated high school. So I have 3 of my 4 kids have graduated high school now. My 4th one graduates next year. Proud dad. Let's go. The days that he wasn't graduating, I was at the car dealership with my daughters, they'll be 22 in September. They bought their first ever vehicles on their own. They got their first self-financed vehicles. Proud dad, man. Like, my girls have credit scores in the 700s. They're 21 years old, and they're in college. They graduate this coming year. And I just have not been looking at any of these rumors or anything like that. I haven't been watching Bill's content creators this week. I've been way too busy this week. And so this show was something that I knew I could do without having to do too much studying, but I still studied just because it's something I like to do. But yeah, I'll let my son know that you said congratulations, Joey. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's been such a busy week. This boy just, yeah. My kids mean the world to me, so very, very proud dad. Oof. See, what would you do with that $10 million? I feel we need to hold on to it. I agree. You can roll that $10 million over into next year's cap unless somebody comes free that blows your mind is going to cost only that. Then I hold on to it. Right? Like if you trade for Brandon Ayuk, you're going to pay him $25 million a year. We just got rid of that problem. People sit here and say Diggs is a diva, Diggs is that. That may have been part of the problem, but that cap hit is really what it was. What it was. Would they have eaten that cap hit if he wasn't a diva? Probably. But all that stuff combined, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Money was there, but it was like we can deal with that. Now you're being an a-hole. All right. Well, you can go. Isn't this the last week of OTS? I believe it is, and then it's a few weeks until mandatory minicamp where the real fun begins. Let's go. See, when normal practice starts for the NFL, there will be people let go from teams. We should hold the money till then. Yeah, so that's another good point too. But if they don't find anybody that they really want to grab, right, you roll that over. Or maybe someone on a Super Bowl team or a Super Bowl caliber team like the Chiefs, right? Maybe they can't afford to re-sign a defensive tackle or linebacker or a lineman, and they just have to let him go. You then have that, money to go and get him if you want. But if you save it and you don't use it at all, like if there's no one that comes open that you really want, and I have no idea who would come open that they would really want like that, well, I would roll that money over to next year's cap, and that's $10 million saved next year. So I like that idea because Bean likes to do this every other year where he makes a big splash move. He goes out there and he gets somebody. Somebody. Can somebody save me? I can't sing. I tried. It ain't me. I definitely not Freddie Mercury. But save that money for next year, and Brandon Bean will probably turn that into an impressive haul. Some veteran who's trying to win a bowl before they retire. I don't see another Von Miller contract happening because we've seen what's happened with that, and that's not Bean's fault that Von got hurt, but it happens. Sometimes you roll the dice and they come up snake eyes. So, yeah. So the 2022 Bills, as a team, so much potential, could have won it all, but man, oh man, just ended in heartbreak. My man Ismael, my fellow Ismael Valentine, I feel this year is not a Super Bowl year. Hold the money till next year. Here's the thing, Ismael, my fellow Izzy. The years that you don't suspect a contender to win the Super Bowl is oftentimes the team that gets there. No one expected the Texans to do what they did last year. They were supposed to suck. When the Bengals went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Rams, they weren't supposed to beat the Chiefs. They're supposed to get their butt stomped in. They got the Super Bowl. The Rams weren't supposed to win the Super Bowl that year. Right? They were the 5th seed in the NFC. When Brady won the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, they weren't supposed to win it. No, they couldn't beat the Saints. And they got to the playoffs, and they stomped them. I'm not saying that you should consider them to be a Super Bowl team. What I'm saying is those years where you don't think that they have a chance, those are the years often that you get surprised. The 9-7 Giants, when they won the Super Bowl as the 6th seed, and they beat the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl. It happens, bro. It happens a lot more than people think. All you got to do is get into the dance. Brandon Bean took a 5th round pick this year and turned it into a 2nd round pick. I'm confused as to what you mean by that. Clarify for me, please. I think the first day at St. John's, July 24th. Okay, so you're talking about training camp. That's training camp. Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Mac Hollins are locks. If you really want to give the rest of the guys a fair shot, you can't get another wide receiver unless it's Justin Jefferson. No wide receiver, cornerback is where I'd spend. It's an interesting take. I like our cornerback room, but they've all been hurt. Elam's been hurt. Benford's been hurt. Douglas has been hurt. They've all been hurt. So, yeah, you could bring in a fresh face. If a Charvarius Ward comes open or something like that, becomes available, you can look into swinging some money his way. You know, there's lots of different ways to do this. But we'll see. See, Ritual 2024, 2025, we will be stronger at every position. I hope so. You always see those teams that didn't have any start caliber players, no names, late in the playoffs, and all kinds of sports. Yeah, it is what it is, man. Yes, training camp. All right. And then we have a chance at the Super Bowl as long as we stay healthy. Please, please stay healthy. I'm with you, Carl, man. You ain't lying, bro. I'm telling you. I love the fact that this team is as resilient as they are, but we need to really focus on playing good, smart, sound football. You know, keep your attitudes in check. I'm talking about the Bills, not you guys, and just being aware of your surroundings, right? Taylor Rapp. Like, stop hitting our own guys, right? We don't want to take out our own guys. He almost took out Tyrell Dodson last year, so yeah. But yeah, those 22 Bills, unfortunately, ended in that misery. And similarly, the Bills this past year, went to this divisional round, lost to the Chiefs, not in 2022 fashion where we got got our faces stomped in by the Bengals. No, we went toe to toe with the Super Bowl champs, and we lost by 3. And we played them the toughest in the playoffs of any team. Offensively, the Ravens had the best defensive performance against them. We had the best offensive performance against them, and that showed. Both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes had 3 touchdowns in that game. It was back and forth. It was a great game. So we have 3 quarterbacks right now: Josh Allen, Trubisky, and the backup from Kansas City, and the backup from Kansas City. Do you see us keeping 3 or just 2? So Shane Buechele will be on the practice squad. There'll be 2 on the main roster, and then Shane will be on the practice squad. And remember, they changed the rules last year that a practice squad quarterback can be activated for as many games as need be, as if your starter and backup get hurt. Right, so he can dress for the game, and he can only go in if those 2 guys get hurt. So that new practice squad rule, I just hope it never comes to that. It's just facts. A healthy Bills squad bears the Chiefs, beats the Chiefs, and probably goes to Super Bowl last season. People don't want to use the injuries as an excuse, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. If I had Terrell Bernard out there instead of AJ Klein, I think we win that game. I think that is a 3-point swing or a 6-point swing, right? We might beat them 27-24 rather than losing 27-24. We'll never know. No excuses for losses. We lost. It is what it is. Point blank. So, yeah, I agree with your statement in its entirety. Now, the 2023 season, the Bills went 11-6. They started the season off 6-6. After the first 10 games, Dorsey was fired. The big thing was the Bills didn't really run the ball those first bunch of games. They had a couple of games early on where they did run the ball pretty effectively. Right, in week 2 against the Raiders, the Bills had 183 rushing yards. Against the Commanders, 168. But against the Dolphins, 104. Against the Jets, 97. Against the Jaguars, 29. Bounce back against the Giants. You're going to notice a trend here. The teams that suck, we ran the ball fine against. Play the Patriots, 81 yards. Buccaneers, 115. Bengals, 68. Broncos, 192. Then Dorsey gets fired. And 130, 173, 118, 266, 105, 127, 128, 179, and 182. What's the difference here? After Dorsey gets fired, there was not a single game where the Bills rushed for less than 100 yards. Not a single game. The lowest total was 105 against the Chargers, and it wasn't really a game that was very pretty. It was an ugly game. The Bills played down to their opponent in that game for sure, and that's something that a lot of fans will say. The Bills played down to their competition. We stop doing that crap. Play up to your competition, never down. But I digress. Are you more concerned with the offense or defense this year? Ooh. That's tough. That's tough. because the offensive line is good. James Cook is good. Josh Allen's good. The receiving core is where the concern would be. Tight ends were good, but on defense, defensive line's good. Linebackers are good. Corners are good. They're fine. Safety is where the big turnover happens, where you lose Hyde and Poyer. And am I more concerned with the defense giving stuff deep or the offense not being able to find pass catchers open? I'm more concerned about the defense, honestly. I'm more concerned about the defense. We have the guy on offense in Josh Allen, and Joe Brady knows how to use guys that no one's ever heard of to play well. Yeah. So I'm much more concerned. I'm not much more, but I'm more concerned about the defense because of the lack of the safeties. You have a quarterback like Josh Allen. You give him some training wheels. He then learns. Give him 4 years of those. Take him off. He should be able to ride this bike even without those training wheels that are Stephon Diggs. They changed the emergency QB rule. They don't need to be on the 53-man roster to play last season. Yeah. That's what I was saying, is that they can be on the practice squad and then still be elevated without costing that player an elevation. Like he's the emergency quarterback. The Cowboys had a good defense, and the Bills ran all over them. Yes, we did, but I think that a lot of that had to do with game planning on their part. They knew who the heck is at quarterback here. Against the Cowboys, Josh Allen only had, 91 yards passing? 85 total passing yards in the game by the Bills. 266 running the ball. They did not prepare for what the Bills were going to do. The Bills just 180'd them, and that was it. Joe Brady wakes up Curtis Samuel, and Curtis Samuel has the best year of his career, just like he did once with Joe Brady before. Yeah, in Carolina, where he had over 800 yards and 1,000 yards from scrimmage, and he was used in many different ways, and I see him being used a lot like that too. He, to me, is Isaiah McKenzie, but good. Right? Like Isaiah McKenzie is good enough to be on an NFL roster, but he's wide receiver 5. Curtis Samuel is good enough to be wide receiver 3. Like he's a true 3, maybe a 2, but he has the skill set of Isaiah McKenzie, but he's faster, bigger, stronger, doesn't drop a lot of passes, and is capable of giving you 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Curtis Samuel is a very capable weapon, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on him because they don't think he's a true number 1 or 2. I don't know really fully what that actually means. I say it sometimes too, but I don't actually know fully what that means. And I don't really know if we need that. But we're about to find out. Cowboys just refused to adjust to the game against the Bills, and Buffalo just said, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Come again. Welcome to the Get Your Ass Whoop Mart. And that's what happened. Whoop that ass. But man, oh man. The Bills this past year, the running game after the Broncos game propelled the Bills to the overtime loss in Philly, but we smoked the Jets. Right? We smoked the Jets 32-6. After losing to the Jets in week 1, sadly, that was pretty sad. Beating the Chiefs, beating the Cowboys, beating the Chargers, the Patriots, the Dolphins to take the division, beating the Steelers 31-17. People have been making fun of the Bills for that game. It's 31-17. Like, what are you talking about? This is a 2-score game. 2 whole touchdowns. Cut it out. But the running game is what propelled the Bills this past year. So with this offensive coordinator and this quarterback and this running game that we have, the balance of run and pass, the ability to say, screw it, we can just run it down your throat, has been a blessing for Josh Allen. It's really given Josh Allen the breathing room to be able to think and process what he's doing next. Because James Cook can go out there and take over a game. And now you've given him a running mate in Ray Davis, who I really like. And Joey Hatch in the comments, he likes him too. Ray Davis gives a power dynamic to this. another true receiving threat, and he can block. He can block. So you get Josh Allen. He drops back, play action pass, fakes it to Ray Davis. Ray Davis chips the defensive player coming through, and then cuts it up. Josh can hit him in the shorts, or in the flats, or in the intermediate, and he can take off and run people over, and run through arm tackles, and he's got moves. He's got some agility side to side. So my breakdown is, in the past, a stable running game was necessary for Josh Allen to truly take off. Not a strong one necessarily, but a stable one. A running game that can help you sustain drives, but the running backs just weren't producing at a high level. They did their job, and they did it well. And the stability there gave the Bills the ability to pass proficiently as they did. Their proficiency in the air was impeccable. But now you have Joe Brady here playing offensive coordinator, and Joe Brady will undoubtedly pouring me some more Pepsi. Joe Brady will undoubtedly make this offense more balanced. Let's go over the numbers, baby. And the balance really happened after Dorsey was fired. So 7 regular season games with Dorsey gone and Joe Brady taking over. Passing attempts, 579. 2022, 574. So passing attempts actually went up. Rushing attempts, 512. 2022, 430. 2021, 461. 2020, 411. This is the most rushing attempts that the Buffalo Bills have had in a season since Sean McDermott has taken over as the head coach in 2017. In that year, we had Tyrod Taylor, and we depended a lot on LaShawn McCoy, and Carlos Williams, I believe, was here then, or he might have been gone already. Let's see. Carlos Williams. I gotta look that up now. Because he got fat. That might have been the Rex Ryan move. He's currently on Toronto Argonauts. Okay, cool. CFL. Good for you, buddy. He was drafted 5th round. He only played for us for a year, 2015. So, nope. McDermott was 2 years later. So, it was McCoy and Singletary? No, I don't think so. You know what? I got the freaking thing here. What am I doing? 2017. Boom. Pull it up. Rick Dennison was our OC. I remember that crap. See, we went to the playoffs despite Tyrod Taylor. Not because of him. People don't like when I say that, but I don't care. Running the ball. LaShawn McCoy. Mike Tolbert. There it is. Mike Tolbert. Travaris Cadet. Marcus Murphy. Oh, we had a list of freaking nobodies behind LaShawn McCoy that year, aside from Mike Tolbert. He had 66 carries, 247, a touchdown, ran for 3.7 per. That was the year that LaShawn McCoy showed the downside. So 2017. Let's see what our stuff looked like. Passing attempts that year was 476. Rushing attempts was 487. So, yeah, that year we ran more than we passed. Now, here's an interesting thing. In 2023, if Joe Brady takes over this offense earlier, let's say that Sean McDermott has seen enough by week 6 and fires Dorsey then, or after week 7, and you give you give Brady 10 games, the Bills most likely run the ball more than they pass it. It's more likely to be 50-50 in that scenario. But because it was only 7 games, because there's only 7 games. The disparity is about 512, 579. It's about 70 carries, like 67 carries, I think, is the difference there. So 67 more passing plays than carries for this team last year. And if Brady takes over earlier, that number's a lot closer, if not skewed the other way. And so in this new scheme, this is my conclusion here. In this new scheme, a strong running game like we had last year, where we had 2,212 yards rushing. We averaged 4.3 yards per carry, which isn't the highest we've had. You know, in 2021, we had what, 5.3, 4.8. 2022, it was 5.2. But in 2023, our run game, it passed the eye test. It passed the eye test. 22 rushing touchdowns. Now, 15 of those are Josh Allen, so say what you will about that. But Josh Allen, putting up his stud numbers, is the only player on the team this past year to throw a pass. 579 attempts, 385 completions, 66.5 completion percentage, 29 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. This was 5-3. That's not a great number, but if it was 5-2, it would have been better. But you know, I digress. Man, hell of a year. I mean, the interception is not so great, but the rushing touchdowns, 15 of them, that's crazy. 524 yards. So for every, you divide both of those by 515. Man, it's 10, 3 for every. Some of them is 5, divide 15 by 3, by 500 is 10. Oh, yeah, so every 10 yards that Josh ran for, he scored a touchdown, roughly, if my brain math is mathing. I mean, that's incredible, really. Let me see. Calculator. Nope, excuse me. For every 34.93 yards, Josh Allen scored a touchdown. That's incredible. That's craziness. I think Frank Gore Jr. will be on the practice squad if no one else grabs him. Probably. I think Ty Johnson's fairly secure on the roster. I think that Ty Johnson will be the guy to be RB3. Imagine the team that respects our run game and forgets about Josh Allen. The run sets up the pass, always has, always will. Allen will be better because of it. Thank you, Bills fan. That's the conclusion I'm getting to. And it's not always the case, right? It's not always the case. The run can help set up the pass. Against the Cowboys, the pass set up the run. If you carry that third QB, I think you lose the practice. Yes, you do. You do lose a practice squad spot. So he's not going to be on the main roster. He'll be on the practice squad. So he counts for a spot. And you would just elevate him as your emergency quarterback in case of injury. I'm not fully sure how that whole thing works because it hasn't been done yet. But I also don't care to see it happen to us. Josh Allen played the running back position before he became a quarterback. I did not know that. Did not know that. Because he always said he was slow, so I wouldn't have assumed. But yeah. You give Josh Allen a nice, stable running game where a team has to really watch out for our running game when you have running backs like James Cook and Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, who impressed last year, which is why he's back. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. I'm telling you, I really, really, really enjoy the idea that we may actually run the ball more than we pass it, but if we still pass it 550 times, I'm confident Josh is going to do just fine. I don't see it necessarily taking away from Josh's attempts. I mean, again, this past year, 579 attempts. Last year, 574. His attempts went up, even though the rushing attempts went way through the roof. 2021, 655 attempts. That's an anomaly. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think that this run game with Joe Brady, especially in his scheme, is going to cause the Bills to see an uptick in Josh's production and most likely an uptick in his efficiency. We'll have an extra player on the practice squad because of the International Player Association. Yep. What do you think about the Olympian we just signed? I really don't know much about him, which is surprising because I am a wrestler. I wrestled in high school. I was a sexy beast. But yeah. Let's see. Let's see something. I have my picture from when I was in high school as a wrestler. Where are you, me? Come on. Come on. There it is. Can't see my face because it's being washed out, but yeah, that's me in high school, Gates China High School. So I was a wrestler, and surprisingly, I don't know much about the guy. I know he's an Olympic gold medalist. He wrestled at Minnesota. I've seen some stuff online that he might have done something wrong or was accused of something. I don't know what that is. I have not looked into it. Again, very busy week, so it's not something I've really worried myself with everything else I'm dealing with. But I will look into it, and it's when I saw him and his size, the first thing I said was, "This is a defensive tackle." Like when my guys at Bills Mafia International hit me up in the group chat, and they said, "Hey, we signed this wrestler guy, Gable Stevenson from uh, WWE. He just dropped out of WWE. He was at college at Minnesota. He won the Olympics." So I was like, "Okay, cool." Gable Stevenson. They said he's 275 pounds. I was like, "Okay," and they said 6'1". I was like, "That's a defensive tackle. Like that's a defensive tackle. He's not going to play anything but that. He may play. They might try and put him at edge, but he's not going to have the bend. He's a wrestler, right? Wrestlers don't really have bend like that at that size. You're built solid, like an Aaron Donald type body style. Aaron Donald is roughly that size, and so when it comes to that, I'm not saying this guy's going to be Aaron Donald. That's ridiculous, right? But just the body type, the frame, very similar. Aaron Donald, 284 pounds at 6'1", 6'1", 280, roughly the same size as this guy. He's a DT. He's a 3-tech DT, and probably a power rusher, but it is what it is. See, if the running game is cooking, the LBs and safety will cheat up to stop the run, and that opens up the rest of the field for the passing game, and Josh will have a field day. Many field days. Many field days. I heard Gable 6'1", 275. Gable. Yep, Gable. Wrestled to 186 weight class, won states 3 times. Damn, Joey. I didn't win those states 3 times. I started wrestling in 10th grade, and I got pretty good pretty quick, but, high school ends just that quick. And, yeah, I did pretty good in counties, took 5th place in counties. But here's the thing. After I graduated high school and I joined the Army, I wrestled in the Army in tournaments for the bases that I was at. I wrestled freestyle here at Fort Bragg when it was Fort Bragg. But my my focus shifted to jujitsu before I left Alaska, which was my first duty station, right? So I was in Alaska. I wrestled in 3 tournaments there. No, it was 3 years that I wrestled in tournaments. And they held 3 tournaments a year, but I missed 1 year's worth of tournaments because I was in Iraq. So 6 tournaments I wrestled in Alaska. I placed no lower than second every year. Took 2 first places and 4 silvers. So 2 golds, 4 silvers in the post tournaments up in Alaska. And the crazy thing is that you're wrestling guys from Michigan, you're wrestling guys from Pennsylvania, you're wrestling guys from California, Wisconsin. The guys who beat me, one was from Shelby, Michigan, which is apparently a renowned wrestling school. Another guy was from Madison, Wisconsin, which Wisconsinites are known. Wisconsin is known for its wrestling. The other guys, I didn't talk too much, so I don't remember where they were from that beat me. But the golds I won, I beat a kid who's from South Carolina, and the other was from Texas. So, yeah. I don't know if any of that matters, but it was pretty cool. I had a blast up there wrestling. And then when I came back from Iraq, the Army really ramped up its combatives department, its combatives program, which was mostly wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And so after that, my focus kind of shifted to jiu-jitsu. And I actually have wrestled or fought in some tournaments on Fort Bragg. I'll have to post those videos up for you guys to see sometime. But the videos I have that weren't lost, I armbarred 2 guys, and then I choked another guy with his lapel. So, fun times. Let's go. Got a scholarship from Edinburgh University. That is a very well-known wrestling school, Edinburgh in Pennsylvania. That is where Josh Koscheck went to school. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was a wrestler in college, obviously. Very good one at that. And then he fought in the UFC, and he fought for the UFC welterweight championship, I believe, twice against George St. Pierre. The first one, George St. Pierre basically out wrestled him, and then the second one, he just jabbed him to death. He just poked his face up with that jab the whole fight, and by the end of the fight, Koscheck's face was just welled up. And Koscheck was one of my favorite fighters, though, man. He had power and awesome wrestling, but he just did not prepare for GSP well either fight. And I'm a big UFC guy. Clearly, I did karate as a kid. Then I did wrestling, then boxing, jiu-jitsu. So, like, I don't look like it, but I'm actually a pretty well-trained fighter. So, yeah, I wear the 172nd SBCT combat patch. Let's go, baby. I got 4 aces. So I deployed with my unit in Iraq. So I got the Binky Bear patch, which when it's in color, it looks like a bear that had a lollipop, or polar bear that had a lollipop, or it's wearing lipstick. But when it's subdued, it's pretty badass. And then I got to Fort Bragg, and I deployed twice to Afghanistan here. So I got the All-American AA. I was with 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade. Let's go. Boom, boom. Fire from the sky, baby. Yeah, he was there 1 year. I was there. Okay. So you're familiar with Josh Koscheck. One thing I heard somebody say was, if you like Josh Koscheck, you've never met Josh Koscheck. I have not met Josh Koscheck, but I like Josh Koscheck, so that might be true. But yeah, he was one of my favorite fighters. I saw him on The Ultimate Fighter. He was my guy. I loved him as a fighter. He talked a lot of shit. It was great. But yeah, guys, the conclusion of the show, right? Buffalo Bills offense will be more balanced. It may even be slightly run heavy this year, and I think that's a good thing. I think Josh is still going to get his attempts. I think he's still going to get his passing, but I think that the run game is going to be so effective that we're going to be forced to run the ball. And then you have the quarterback in Josh Allen who can pick you apart. And so it is what it is. So yeah, either you like him or you don't. He's got a strange personality. He does have a strange personality. I've seen that on TV, so I'll rock with that. But my man, I appreciate that. That's cool. That's awesome. But guys, I love you. I appreciate you for showing me all the love you have, all the support. God bless you guys. I can't wait till mini camp starts, so we have more to talk about. We get more videos. We get some bombs thrown by Josh Allen down the field. We get some videos of Ray Davis and James Cook crushing it. We get some Kincaid footage. We get some defensive footage. We get to see Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford. And we get to see what the hell is up with Cole Bishop and Keon Coleman. I cannot wait for all this to come through. But guys, please hit that thumbs up, hit that like, share, subscribe, whatever you do. Please bring more eyes to Built in Buffalo. Please bring more eyes to the Redzone Report. I love you all. God bless you. You have a wonderful night. Let's freaking go. Go Bills.